Hello everybody, thank you very much for joining me for the second part of this week's TA training on development matters and making observations in the early years and foundation stage. This has been put together by Kirsty from East Ward, and today she's going to have a focus on observations. She wants to talk about how to make meaningful observations and some fantastic hints and tips that she's picked up over her time working in EYFS.
Development matters and making observations in the early years foundation stage. Today's training is to support you with the Development Matters curriculum and what this means for you within your role. We will also look at observations within early years, including what an observation is, how and why we do them, as well as how you can complete a quality observation within your setting. There will also be some examples of observations plus my personal top tips when it comes to mastering the art of a thorough observation. After today, you will understand the importance of learning through play in early years and how observations as well as development matters work hand in hand with this. Observations in the early years. In early years, observation is the practice of looking at and listening to children to find out how they are developing, what they like doing, and what they are learning through their play and the experiences on offer. Through observation, we can decide whether the child's development is at the expected stage, whether the resources are suitable for the child, and it gives us information on how we can move learning forward by adapting the environment or resources on offer, or by interaction with the child to scaffold their learning. Observations of children are a powerful tool and vital part of our role as an early years practitioner, as each child has a unique set of abilities and talents, and observations in different situations capture this firsthand. Observations take place on a regular basis as part of daily routines, and these really help create a picture of a child's learning journey from autumn to summer. Observations are seen and shared by professionals, including teachers, moderators, as well as parents and the child. Observations can be completed in a variety of ways, such as photographing a piece of work, making some notes on a post-it note, or most commonly using software such as Too Simple, Seesaw or Tapestry to photograph or video the child engaging in an activity, accompanied by a detailed description of what is happening in the picture. So why do we do them and why are they so important? In early years, children learn through play, and it is through play that they often rehearse new skills. During play, a child is content within their environment, engaging in an activity that is of interest to them, and this is when they are usually most relaxed and happy. These factors make for an ideal observational opportunity. Observing children as they act and interact in their play, everyday activities and planned activities will provide information about a child's learning, skills and knowledge. This allows us to understand, assess and scaffold a child's learning in a way that is best suited for the child. It is also a great way to get to know a child's interests and character, which supports with building a relationship with the child. Making observations within an enabling environment that provides challenge and provokes interest will give those less confident children a chance and a place to shine. The more structured and formal side of some of the teaching and learning that takes place in early years may not be as accessible to some children compared to the activities and resources set up in the classroom. So observations are a useful way to discover, capture and celebrate just what these children are capable of. Also, children who may have language or learning barriers are also able to demonstrate their capabilities in a way that is more suited and familiar to them. So how do you complete a quality observation? Timing. The timing of an observation should be considered carefully to ensure the adult has a positive impact on play and interactions. Some children will welcome an adult's interaction and proudly share their ideas, whereas other children will be deterred by an adult's presence, and an adult intervening in play could stifle their learning process. It is worth being mindful of these children, as they may need to be observed in a more discreet manner. It is also often worth standing back and discreetly observing a child before intervening. Through professional judgment, you will assess whether it is the appropriate time to intervene with the child's play. You should consider if now is a worthy opportunity to support the child to strengthen and deepen their current learning and development, or is the child already doing this independently? The purpose. There are many reasons why an observation may be completed. This could be to evidence where a child is demonstrating a new skill, or it could also be to move play forward that doesn't appear to be progressing. And consider the purpose of the observation. Ask yourself, what does this mean for the child's learning journey? And does this observation give you a feel for some progress in a child's learning, or does it explain where the child might be stuck? The outcome. An observation should be descriptive and tell the full story of the interaction. It should detail what the child is doing and saying. You should get a feel for the child's play and hear the child's voice. What is recorded should be significant, meaning and positive. The observation should demonstrate the role the adult has played with facilitating learning and play. For example, this could be using open-ended questioning to support use of imagination or scaffolding learning. For example, introducing new vocabulary for a new topic. So many people could be forgiven for saying, but they are just playing, about the children in early years, whereas as practitioners we know there is so much more going on behind the play. We know that play is the highest form of research. Play gives children a chance to practice what they are learning, and in early years the child is the curriculum. Examples and top tips. So here we have an example of an observation. H paints a picture with the other children. She has a paintbrush and different coloured paints. She paints her picture before putting it on the drying rack. H says her favourite colour is pink. So, an observation like this gives some detail about what the child is doing, but it's difficult to know exactly what the purpose of the observation is. It would leave the reader with many questions. Has she demonstrated a new skill? Has she overcome a challenge? Is this a magic moment for her? Does she never usually spend time in the creative area? Was there any interaction with an adult, and if so, what impact did this have? So here we have the same activity but more of a quality observation. H chats to herself as she paints, declaring which colour she's going to use. Yellowy, orange and green and blue. When I arrive, she smiles and announces, I'm painting a picture of my dad. H looks around before saying, there's no pink paint, but that's my favourite. So we check the colour chart together. H is really excited to use the colours red and white from her palette to make pink. She carefully mixes them together and gets creative with her lovely new shade of pink. H focuses on her painting for a sustained amount of time, sitting quietly and frowning as she concentrates. Next steps. In the moment. Teacher supports H to use the colour chart to make the colour pink. We discuss all the colours that can be made by colour mixing and how adding lots of white will make a colour lighter. We can see here just how much more detail and depth this observation has compared to the previous one. Fewer quality observations like this are far more valuable to any child and teacher than a copious amount of vague observations that in fact might say very little about a child. So there is magic in the detail. The more detailed write-up gives us a wealth of information about the child and their activity. From the observation, we learn that there is clear evidence of characteristics of effective learning, such as playing and exploring, active learning, and creating and thinking critically. We also learn that the child is working at an expected level across all areas of PSED, communication and language, physical development, expressive arts and design, as well as many, many more. We learn that the adult noticed H was working well independently, but intervened with the child to find out more about the thought processes behind her artwork, which then led on to the adult's scaffolding learning around colour mixing. We also learn about the child's personality. She chats to herself, showing she likes to talk and is relaxed in her environment and activity. She is fond of Dad and enjoys to learn new things. So here are some of my personal top tips. Know your children. Ensure you know the children's interests and where they are working at in relation to the curriculum. This will really help you with identifying rich observational opportunities and how you can scaffold learning. Take time to get to know the quieter children who just get on, as it can be easy to let these children slip under the radar when they are doing amazing things daily. You may have to approach these children a little differently. Manage the load. It can be really easy to find yourself with a backlog of observations that need writing up. The more time that passes before it is written up means that small but important details about that observation are lost. Make brief notes that will support you when writing it up properly. You should always include exact quotes from that child. Magic moments. What is deemed as a magic moment for each child will differ. Your knowledge of each child will tell you what a magic moment for them might be. It could be a child who usually plays alone is seen interacting with another child. It could be a child engaging in a mark-making activity when they usually spend all of their time in construction. Look out for these moments, capture them and celebrate them. Quality over quantity. With managing the load in mind, we should always remember that fewer, more detailed and meaningful observations are more useful and effective than many brief write-ups. We can learn so much about a child's personality, style of learning and progress from a quality observation that is well written. Thank you for listening to my training and I hope you find it very useful. Good luck with your observations.
Thank you again, Kirsty. You've put together a fantastic piece of training there. So, I know it's going to be very informative for lots of staff across the trust and outside there as well. Kirsty has very kindly put her email on the end of this, so if you would like any more support, please contact her and I know she'll be more than happy to help you out. Thank you again for joining this training session. As usual, please remember to complete the form at the end to create a learning log of your training sessions, and I look forward to seeing you again this time next week.